Most years, my family visits my grandma's house once during the summer. Even though I'm not a child anymore, to me there's still something magical about her home. My grandma lives in a small town called Orville, which is on the eastern Washington border of Canada. The difference between the climates of eastern and western Washington is rather unexpected. Though it mirrors the west, the weather in the east is unfailingly more drastic. This part of the States is really just a series of hills covered by copious amounts of sagebrush and notably more sporadic evergreens. It may not seem like much, but these simple differences have always made Orville appear inexplicably exotic to me. My mother, along with her 5 brothers and sister, grew up in Orville, wearing down the house upon which my grandpa was continually forced to build new rooms. For her, I'm sure these visits are immensely nostalgic. For me, the nostalgia is different, of course. It's always been as if my grandma's house was this constant, unchanging point in time. It's a place where the only things that change are the toys she pulls out for us to play with. As comforting as this phenomenon is, time is inevitably passing, and everything will continue to change around me, whether I feel ready or not. It is because of this harsh reality that throughout my stay I regularly found myself overwhelmed, thinking about everything that I needed to be doing, but because of the vacation, wasn't. There were several times when I just wanted to sit down with my grandma and explain to her everything that I was preparing for. And to an extent, that's a reasonable desire. But I kept worrying and hesitating because it wouldn't matter how long we talked. I would never be able to fully explain everything that I wanted to say, and therefore the relative importance of everything would never be properly conveyed. It took me until the last day of our trip to realize that I didn't need to tell her everything. She didn't need to understand the details the way I did. And she would never care less just because she didn't know the whole story. We can share and tell stories during these visits. There's just no reason for her to understand every single thing that's changing about my life. Very soon, I will be the only person responsible for my life. To comprehend a change as large as this one is difficult because up until this point, every decision I've made has been a communal effort. All of a sudden, everything about my life is changing at the same time. I want to be able to share these things with my grandma as we've always been very close, but I can't because my life is immensely more complex than it was when I was a child. And as this complex, adult-like person, it's impossible to keep every person in my life as up to date as I would in theory want them to be. That being said, it's okay to, at times, take a real break from change. I'm allowed to spend 4 days with my grandma, talking and reading and adventuring, ignoring everything I put on hold, if purely for the sake of reveling in the time we have together. As I get older, I'm sure this concept will only become more and more prevalent with more and more people, including my parents and sisters. I will have to remember that this is not a problem. It is just a change.